Hello, everyone. This is Kailey and Peggy, and we are back for another episode of Grief in Brief. And today, in honor of Children's Grief Awareness Month, we're going to talk about grief.
So, starting off at Sandcastles, we know, and part of our philosophy is that grief is a natural reaction to a death or a loss in children, teens, and adults. Actually, even animals grieve when they lose something that they love. And grief can look very different in different people. The feelings of grief are unique to each individual. Our grief may look different depending on our relationship with the person who died, how we know how to cope with these difficult emotions, the time of year, the support systems we have, and the list goes on, the differences that make it unique. So we know that it is vital to respect everyone's grief as their own.
And if this process is guaranteed, it's this natural reaction, grief is undeniable, you will grieve. It just comes with loss. You can't suppress it. Well, you could suppress it, but that will come with some very real and serious consequences like anxiety, feelings of depression, or symptoms of PTSD, and even more seriously, things like early mortality.
Yeah, and the struggle is real. But the good news is that within each individual is the natural capacity to heal oneself. We are resilient, and kids and teens are resilient. It is really hard work, though, and you got to go through the hard work to get there, especially when grief can look so different from person to person. There's unique feelings, unique memories associated with the person who died that influence our grief journey. And there, unfortunately, is no perfect prescription if you do XYZ in this particular order that you're going to get over your grief faster or easier than someone else. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. Grief takes time and attention, and it's something that we have to work through to get to the other side of.
We also believe that the duration and the expression and intensity of grief are unique for each individual. We say this and we talk about duration, yet we know that there is no end to grief. Years can go by and we won't ever stop missing the person who died. The pain may become less intense, whether our grief feels huge and all consuming or our grief feels smaller some days. Like we said, the intensity will be different from person to person and even day to day. As time goes by, we may have less days where a smell or a certain sound can bring us sadness. And we may grow to have more moments where we smile as we think of a memory with our special person who died. The uniqueness continues, similar to a snowflake or a fingerprint, both things that are very unique when we talk about and think about how people express their grief. And we all have different expressive tools and coping skills to help us with this, whether that's art or journaling or music or exercise or meditation or connecting with other people who are walking a similar grief journey to our own.
What we know is that grievers need support on their journey. Our society stays pretty quiet about grief. We don't really talk openly about loss. It's a challenging conversation. People don't know what to say. And our mourning period is so short. You're expected to be back at work in 4 days after 4 days of bereavement or after at school after a death and are expected to function at full capacity and ready and raring to go. And it doesn't work that way. Society really needs to have a better understanding of grief and the grieving process, especially in children and teens who are often considered the forgotten more grievers or mourners. We may think that kids can get over it because they seem like they're better or they seem like they're normal. They're out playing in the backyard as they normally would. And so that people might think that they're over it, but that's not really the case. What we know is we can learn more about childhood bereavement and what it looks like and how to help. We can better prepare our kids for a healthy future, even after someone has died. And that's why we're so excited to celebrate and spread awareness of childhood bereavement month. Every November, it is Children's Grief Awareness Month, and we're happy to be participating and educating.
And we have some very exciting things coming up this year to celebrate. This year, we're focusing on some parts of grief that are really difficult for children and teens, focusing on returning to school after a death and the holidays and other special days that can be extra difficult without the person we love. So join us. We welcome you to join us on November 2nd to learn more about helping support grieving children and teens through the holiday season. And then again on November 9th to hear about issues facing grieving students in schools and what helps. What can we do to best support those kids? So sign up to learn more, and we look forward to seeing some of you there for these exciting webinars and opportunities.
From all of us at the Sandcastles team, thank you for your interest in helping support grieving children and families. This is important work, and it takes every one of us to spread the word and further the field of childhood bereavement. Thank you for your commitment and for helping us with ours, our commitment to support grieving families when they need it the most.